Okay, everybody. This panel is the cornerstone of the Girls Who Print Day conference. We have been having a leadership panel for the last 12 years. This is the 14th annual panel. My apologies for that. So today, for our panelists, we have Tonya Powers. She is the Senior Director of Marketing at Canon Solutions America. We have Christine Hagopian, president at the Printing Industries of New England, also known as Pine, and the 2024 Girly Award winner. And we have one of my favorite people on planet Earth, Keeana Barber. She is the CEO of WDB Marketing and curator of the WDB Legacy Awards. Keeana, we'll start with you. Can you let everybody know more about you and your company and your current role?
Yes, thank you for that amazing introduction, Deborah. Good afternoon, ladies. I'm excited to be here. So I'm the CEO of WDB Marketing, as Deborah mentioned. So we are a full service printing company. So we do digital print, we do apparel, direct to film, as well as screen printing and signage. So kind of a one-stop shop. I've been in business for 19 years. So I started almost fresh out of college. I was 22 when I started in the graphic design business, and that kind of transferred over to print because everybody, when you design something, you need to print it. So we're based in Chicago. We just opened up our second location, and we mainly service small business owners. So we work with them on everything from their graphic design, so the vision for the concept, all the way down to the final print. Love what we do. And as Deborah mentioned, we started an event, which I think we'll talk about a little bit later, called the Legacy Awards, which is kind of our give back to the community. So how do we pour into that next generation? How do we support women in the space, women entrepreneurs? But yes, I think that's enough about me. But love what I do. Love working with small business owners. That's definitely our passion.
I don't think there could ever be enough about you, just so you know, from my personal opinion. But I just, your strategy had, to not say no to somebody who maybe just needs 10 business cards or maybe needs a few brochures for a pitch meeting that they have to do tomorrow. And what happens is you become ingrained in their business, and as they grow, you grow with their business, and you also start bringing them ideas of things maybe they don't. Oh, well, you go into a trade show, do you have any graphics? Oh,
Absolutely.
you're starting a podcast. I love when everybody was starting podcasts in the pandemic, you were like, how can I productize this? And you created a podcast studio, but you also, where you let people come and record podcasts, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
But
Mhm.
you also created packages where if they were going to do their own, did they need a Zoom background? Did they need, I mean, this is actually a real thing, but did they need
We
something
like the
printed
print skill
behind
too,
them?
of course.
Did they need the microphone things? I mean, you see the needs, you don't say no, and you do your best to help businesses grow. And as they do, you're there to support them with printing and marketing of all time. So of all kinds. So I just want to say thank you. And that's without the big give back that you give to everybody. But, you know, in this endless uh, quest for, I want the biggest accounts with the most amount of money, you know, that's not always the best strategy to really be there and I mean, I can just imagine that most of your customers have to be referrals just because other people are
Absolutely.
like,
Mhm.
you have to work with Keeana and her team. She will, whatever you need, she's got your back. So I want to thank you for that first, before we even get into the questions.
Thank you.
Tonya Powers, I know that you're out there. Can you tell everybody a little more about you, your company, and your current role?
Tonya Powers. I have been in the printing industry for 20 years now, and it some days feels longer, some days it feels like a blink of an eye. But I've always been in the B2B side. I have a marketing background. Started out at HP on their large format group, supporting the sales team and their customer experience out of Smyrna, Georgia area, and kind of grew in that organization. Lots of changes happened within HP org. And I had a boss that was like, you know what? let's try this next. How about you do this role next? And it didn't believe in limiting me and, pushed me out of my boundaries frequently, grew in that organization, and then eventually made the move over to Canon, where I had the ability to grow again, become a segment marketing manager, and be really focused on understanding customer segments and the technology that Canon was introducing in the marketplace, high-speed production inkjet, and really trying to help our customer markets understand the technologies and what it can do for their businesses. So I've helped grow in this space for past 13 years, and now currently manage senior director for the outbound marketing team for the Production Print Solutions Group, headquartered, which we saw earlier, the tour of the CIC. So the ladies in front of the camera and behind the scenes are on our marketing team, helping wonderful things happen in that facility. But just really proud to be a part of the organization and have such a strong female-based marketing team that I work with and can help foster and mentor and support and grow. We're really lucky to have a huge talented group there. So really blessed in that regard, and just happy to be here celebrating again with everyone else for Girls Who Print Day.
I mentioned it before during the tour that your commitment to mentoring and really creating leaders, not just worker bees, to do the things that you need to do. Your team, they're fully functioning team. They're a fully functioning team. And I'm not saying that in a condescending way, but sometimes you go other places and it's like, I need you to do this do this now and then come back and I'm going to tell you something else to do next. And instead you're like, here's the assignment. Got any questions? Go forth and do the work, and then we can discuss if there are improvements or there are edits or a way, things that you've taught me along the way about how to word proposals so that it makes it easier to get through a giant corporation, and things like that. So thank you for your mentorship to them. Thank you to your mentorship for me over the years and for our Project Peacock car trips, and the international sign of Tonya Powers is on a phone call, is on a business meeting. All you get is that. Christine Hagopian, president of the Printing Industries of New England, just won the 2024 Girly Award. You mentioned about your company before, but in case this is a different session, so can you please share a little more about you, your company, and your current role?
Sure. So PINE is the Printing Industries of New England. We're a trade association to all segments of print in all 6 states of New England. And we provide everything from general print education to HR services, safety, environmental assistance, awareness, and political advocacy at the state level. Work with the vocational schools, trying to keep those programs healthy and active, and work with our vendor community as well to make sure that they're reaching our membership. As we spoke about earlier, we are here for everyone, whether you're a member or not a member, and we encourage participation because there's a lot of value in that peer-to-peer interaction. We have networking opportunities for everyone to attend because you never know who you'll meet. And as we know, the industry is somewhat in a merger and acquisition mode at the moment. You never know who you'll meet and where that could go. So, and I started my career way too long ago, but at a college with an advertising and communications journalism degree, and went from an advertising firm to a publishing firm, and then everything in between. Worked at a wonderful merchant selling paper, and learned a great deal from there, and then was able to come here to PINE, and I've been here ever since, and proud to be. So,
okay, I'm going to stay with you for the first question, what qualities make you an effective leader? And by the way, this is Girls Who Print Girl Power Day, so no humbling yourselves down. Like, this is all about what makes
look how
you
straight,
an effective
I'd be
leader.
in my Wonder Woman pose,
That's
but I'm
right.
sitting down. Well, you were just complimenting Tonya, and the sign of a strong team, what you described, is compliments to her as a leader. You give them the assignment, you encourage them, you give them some insight, and then you let them go. They have to fly. If they don't fly, well, then you have to help them on their path. I think my strongest attribute is that I'm an amazing listener, and I hear things that you don't even know you're saying. And my staff out here would probably say the same thing. We had a staff meeting earlier. It's I listen and then we redirect or we encourage. I try to make sure everybody feels included in decision making, in where the association is going, for example. And I just have a really strong work ethic, and that's my father instilled that in me. I grew up in a family business, and the first job he gave me was cleaning the restrooms. If that doesn't teach you how to be a strong woman and move from there, I don't know what will.
Thank you so much. Keeana, what qualities make you an effective leader?
Take myself off mute. Yeah, I mean, I love what Christine said. I love that, like you said, that inclusion piece. For me, it's about confidence and vision. So like I'm really confident with my team, and I'm always showing them where we're going. I think that's just that's a universal skill set for men and women. You have to be clear on where you're going, and people will follow you. I share a lot. I'm pretty vulnerable. So working in a small business, letting people understand that a small business, you're going to have to operate a little different. I need my employees to show up different than if you're working with a company that has 1,000+ employees. We really need you. So I'm very transparent with where we are and the help that we need in the role that they play. I would probably say one of my challenges, and sometimes I know everybody can chime in on that with women, sometimes we can be a little too understanding. So that's probably my biggest challenge as a leader. Sometimes we allow people and we allow a lot of things to happen because we lead with that compassion and with that understanding. But at the end of the day, I try to be as firm as possible with my team. And I really try to make sure that we just have a very clear vision, and when as a woman, you show up, you cannot, I hate to say it, but you really can't hesitate. You have to say, this is where we're going. I'm driving this car, but I need everybody to follow me. And I think as a woman, sometimes, you don't have that ability to be able to go back and forth because you'll lose that leadership. You'll lose the people who want to follow you.
I think that's a great analogy. I mean, in this case, you actually own the car, but you're not, and you are part of the engine too, because you work in the business, but who's the oil? Who are the tires? Like all of these parts are needed to keep that car going. So I think that is a really a fantastic analogy. Tonya, what qualities make you an effective leader?
I really think leadership is really about empowering others and creating a space where people feel heard, they're respected, they're able to work collaboratively together, and they know they're working towards a shared goal. So very similar statements, maybe in a little different way. I think what I am able to bring to the table as a leader in my organization is really helping to understand the perspectives and the needs of those that are around me, that I'm working with, to help build that trust and foster that inclusion. So empathy is really important for me, so they know they're heard and seen. Adaptability, being flexible. I mean, when no leadership approach is going to be a one size fits all every day, all day. So I really try to be open to change and willing to pivot when necessary, because we know what's coming, whether you like it or not. So you have to be open and flexible about change. How are you going to handle that, and how you handle that, and communicate that with your team, showing that you have the confidence to adjust and communicate the changes effectively and help them work through the uncertainty is extremely important, because especially with younger generations, I find, they're newer in the industry, in corporate business, and they can be unsure, like this is new to them. They're very scared even to a degree, and just need someone to help them understand, have the empathy, listen to them, and then help them understand as a leader, these things change, here's our plan, we're going to work through it. It's, we're going to make this happen. And then all of that really comes around, as Keeana was saying several times, communication. You really got to have effective communication throughout all of this. I can't even say it enough. Whenever I have a conversation with anyone, whether I'm interviewing them or they've just started a job or I'm mentoring, literally the first thing I talk to them about is communication. Please be clear, concise. You have to be, make sure with that communication, you're able to achieve achieve alignment and transparency with everyone. It really encourages people to have more open dialogues, and you learn a lot more about each other. And I think it can get you to the next level by having that level of interaction and communication with the folks that you're working with.
Yeah, a good leader supports their team. I mean, that's what I'm hearing from all of you. You are on this panel because you are examples of women who have overcome, and I'm going to do this, traditional barriers in the male-dominated printing industry. How have you navigated perceptions and challenges as a woman in an executive role? And in Keeana's case, as a business owner in a male-dominated industry. Keeana, we'll actually start with you.
I'm sorry, I keep putting myself on mute just because I'm in the office. So for me, it kind of goes back to the same thing I talked about. I really lead with confidence. I started my business not only was, as a woman, as a Black woman, as a young woman. I was 22. So to me, I came in and I've always was confident in the way that I communicated. I didn't allow anything that somebody else might doubt me for me to doubt myself. So like, that's how I come into the room. So when we think about owning a small business, you got to negotiate pricing. So you have to really come in and be confident. So for me, I've always just led with that. I don't doubt my abilities, and I empower everybody that's watching today. Do not doubt who you are. We all are uniquely made. God made us unique, and we all have our own gifts. So I literally lead with that. I don't allow for someone to come in and try to undercut or doubt me, because that's how I'm going to lead with it. And Deborah, I've actually have a male partner. So I started my business on my own, and about 5 or 6 years in, I merged. He actually merged with me, with my company. So that added another dynamic. So now you have this male-female component, and who's leading and who's in charge. Thankfully, I was blessed with someone who respects my leadership. So he allows me to be the visionary. But I think that also comes with being able to just kind of like set expectations up front. But for me, I lead, and when I walk in the room, I'm not questioning who I am, and you are going to respect who I am, even if I've never done this before. We've all in a situation where we've never done this before. This is our first time working on such a big project. This is our first time doing this, but people respond to confidence. And I always say in the print industry, we always putting out fires. So to me, the more confident you are when you can talk to your customer and tell them, hey, I got it, I'm going to handle this, the more they respect, and they kind of you transfer that energy. So you can transfer that confidence to me, to anybody that you're talking to.
I'm just going to throw this out to you because we've had conversations about this before where, you and James, who's your partner, go to a printing show, you're looking for equipment, and they speak to him and they don't speak.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
So in the sense of how do you navigate that perception, like, I think it would be great if you could just share, and I'm sorry, but you do have the fact that you're two Black people walking to a booth, and there's already preconceived notions about that, as we've also discussed. So what is your best advice just for women who, honestly, a lot of times they're treated similarly, she's probably not going to buy anything. She's not the decision maker, and things of that nature. How do you address that?
So to me, I think I told you this before. If somebody doesn't respect me enough when I walk up to them and I'm trying to buy from them, that's not a person I'm going to do business with. Now I will articulate that. So I will let somebody know. So if I feel like somebody's being dismissive, I will address that in a way that you'll understand why I'm walking away. You'll understand the missed or lost opportunity. So yep, you're right. That has happened at different print shows and things like that, or people will naturally assume because my partner is a male that he's the lead or that he's the CEO. But I have a way of correcting somebody very professionally, but I will let you know. I'll let people know. So to me, I do try to help correct somebody's behavior, even if I won't work with them. So that's happened where somebody doesn't respect us. I'm going to let you know, hey, this is why I'm not going to do business with you. I'll let you know that we have a print shop, and I'll let you know we got 2 locations actually. We just went to the promotional items, the ASI show, and I had some people were dismissive when I walked up, and I said, oh, I'm opening up my 2nd location, and now their ears are perking up. But I'll let them know, like, oh, this is what I was looking for, but I've had other companies that were already responsive to me. So when I come over here and I receive it in this way, it makes me feel like that's how you all are gonna handle business, and that's not how I want to handle business. So I'll literally let people know so they can understand. And you may have lost our business, but now that next Black woman that comes up to you, that next woman that walks up to you, now you'll have a better way to handle her. So I try to address it when I do feel like it's an issue. But yeah, if people don't respect me, if people don't want to respect me as a vendor doing business with me, then I'll walk away from that possibility.
I always think of you holding bags like in Pretty Woman, like big mistake. Big mistake. I just bought 2 presses over there. Big mistake. Christine, you're a president of a printing organization in a male-dominated industry. How have you navigated negative perceptions as a woman in an executive role?
Very much like Keeana, just with confidence that I have enough professional history. I come to the table from many sides of the print community, have experienced, the technology over the years, and just confidence. I mean, even in the interviewing process for someone who was here working in the trenches, having to, explain myself and my professional career, going into a print shop, meeting with a member. I want to talk to everyone, male, female, doesn't matter. I want to meet everyone. I want everyone to have my card. I want people to be able to reach out to me. I am so open to talking to anyone. If we're not connected on LinkedIn, everyone out there, please reach out to me. I mean, it's a wonderful community. And yeah, I think leaning on my peers across the country, learning from their experiences as well, helped me to, navigate some of the questions. But I'm always there putting my hand out to shake a hand of someone trying to meet me, whereas sometimes people feel it's a hug that has to come at you because you're a woman. So confidence, openness. I'm well educated. I speak well, so I'd like to be able to communicate with you. It's a shame when you go somewhere and you're treated less than. We're all worthy, and I think that superwoman pose, I think we should all be doing that more frequently.
Tonya Powers, you and I were at an event once, and you were being introduced. And at that event, you were actually, if you remember, I pulled you over to the side and I had lost my mind. You were actually the conference chairman or something of that nature, and they pulled you up on stage. And I'm not saying it was done in a malicious way, but they said, "This is Tonya Powers. She helps keep us organized." And I swear to God, I almost jumped out of my chair and said, "What? Like, why don't you just say she's great at ordering us lunch or taking notes, right?" So I know it wasn't done maliciously, but I did come to you after, and I'm like, you cannot let them ever do that again. And I'm not saying it was my influence, but no one has done that again. But can you just, speak about what that does to you, standing on a stage, knowing all the work that you did, and have it be reduced to Tonya keeps us organized?
Well, yeah, people say things, and different generations say things, they think it's a compliment, and that's where I took it, and having known the person for some years.
Correct.
Like you said, I do know it came from a good place. He really just didn't think it through and understand what that would mean for me as a female coming up on stage, wanting to represent as a leader in the industry. So I took it with a grain of salt. I tried to take it with some grace, and just quickly moved on and focused on, the message and that I wanted to deliver, and set stage how, my presence on stage. And I think one of the reasons is that it comes back to me because we all face barriers. There's a lot of resistance. We face our own doubts, and when things like that happen, it doesn't help your doubts. But you get doubts from other people that you hope would have faith in you. You're underestimated. You just encounter a lot of bias, whether it's outwardly or subconsciously. So you just gotta be resilient. And I'm like, I'm not gonna, like, as someone else had posted early in the chats about, like, don't take that personally. Don't let that be the thing that controls you. So, you just kind of smiled, shook it off, and then just moved on and did what, you needed to do that day. And that's one of the things that I've learned over the years is just, yeah, people say things and you just can't let it get to you and like ruin your day or your week. You got to have faith in what you can accomplish. And the way I build faith for me, and I try to help build confidence and faith in my team is always just to, be engaged in the industry, be involved, build that knowledge set, show your expertise. You'll build up that respect from your colleagues, the customers that you work with, and they're not going to be looking at the gender. You've proven you've done the hard work, and you've earned that respect and credibility. And that's what I've always tried to focus on, and just move on past the other things.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean,
Those are
you handled it graciously. There was no scene made. I made the biggest scene after it was over, just speaking to you because I was livid about it. But what I'd like to say to everybody out there is that the reason why it matters is because for the women in the audience, if nothing else.
Mhm.
All that hard work is boiled down to Tonya Powers helps keep us organized, and not like this is the person you want to work with. This is the partner you want to connect with. This is who's literally responsible for the success of this event. And I mean literally, not just she kept, I mean, yeah, organization was a big part of it. But it is super important to have the confidence after. I agree with you. The way you handled it was perfect. But like I said, I have not seen it happen since. So whatever you have done to make sure it doesn't happen again is what everybody needs to do after it happens to them the first time. Or control it yourself, like Kelly said before. Just hand somebody an introduction, say, this is what I want you to say about me. Which
after that.
often is the
Having a little bit
easiest way.
more control who was introducing me and how that
Yeah.
definitely had a play into that
Yeah.
never happening
And
again.
now your photos up there with your title. I mean, it all matters. And I actually want to stay with you for a second because part of the Tonya Powers keeps us organized is because everybody might not have the information about your contributions to a project, or understand how involved you are, because maybe you're not standing on the stage. Maybe, I was a print producer for years. Nobody should know who I am because I'm behind the scenes. The piece of print won an award, not me for getting it printed, right? Although I should have got awards. So how do you communicate your contributions for visibility and recognition within your own company? And why is it important?
Yeah. So I'm going to have to say, going back to that clear and open communication, this is an area where it can pay out dividends. I think it's really important to, when I'm communicating regularly, I make a point to provide regular updates to the key stakeholders in a program or project or event that I'm managing. And, it can be through formal meetings. It can be just through regular email reporting or informal check-ins I might have on a quick phone call or walking past in the hallway. But just sharing the progress on the projects I'm leading out or involved in. And this really allows people to understand, what are the challenges we're dealing with, and also the outcomes and what strategies we're supporting behind all of this. And I think it's really important that you do articulate the challenges while also showing that you are overcoming the challenges with and achieving results. And in that whole process, always I think, Christine, you mentioned it. There's always a team of people. So make sure you're giving credit due to that team. It's not no one person. So making sure you're identifying that as well. And additionally, I always feel like, and I don't know if it's a female thing, but for me personally, I don't like to brag too much on myself, but I feel okay. I feel confident and sharing about positive things that I am contributing or leading out on when I've got real strong data or metrics that I can weave in. Like, this project was successful because of this. We contributed to the bottom line in this way, or we advanced the company's strategic goals in this way. If I can have clear, solid data that, me and my team's work delivered this, that I have no problem shouting off the mountaintops when I have that backing me up and giving me that little boost of confidence. And then, like I said, I really just can't say enough about making sure you're giving credit to the full team and the success, because I think that just builds goodwill. And it just positions me as a leader as well. It's like a side bonus for me that I'm helping to help create a collaborative team and collective success for people. And that just also helps enhance my reputation as a leader and, creating a positive team-oriented culture, which a lot of businesses and organizations are looking to strive for.
Yeah. To add a pro tip to Tonya's amazing advice, really understand what your company's current goals are. And then create those, hey, look at what we're doing here, that match and align with their current goals. You could be doing 100 amazing things, and guess what? They don't care about it, because that's your job. What do you want? You want a freaking trophy for doing your job? But if you can help the next person up and the next person up by giving them data that shows that the team is doing what the mission was, and look at the success, I think you get greater recognition and visibility for that. Would you agree, Tonya Powers?
Absolutely agree.
Okay. Oh, short and sweet. I'll take the win and move on. Keeana, you're in a different situation. As the CEO of WDB Marketing, you have used your recognition, visibility, and community leadership to create recognition and visibility for others through the WDB Legacy Awards. Can you share what that is and how your program has helped women entrepreneurs over the years? Although I know you help everybody.
Yeah, we help a little bit of everybody. So the WDB Legacy Awards is something that we started after being in business for 10 years. And we started it honestly as a give back to the entrepreneurs who were working with us and a way to bring our network together. So the whole purpose of the event was to benefit those that had supported us, which is what I fundamentally believe in. Like what you talked about earlier, Deb, when you help that small business and you help them grow, you grow with them. So we created this event specifically, the audience, the big audience is young entrepreneurs, but we definitely, a big subset of that are women entrepreneurs that we work with. And like I said, I started it, the idea was, again, I started at 22. What didn't I have when I was 22 that I needed? And for me, it was I knew some people who had a business, but I didn't know people who really had structured businesses that had employees, that had a storefront, and they had all these responsibilities. So we created Legacy Awards, one as an example of what excellence looks like in business, and to see so many other successful entrepreneurs. So again, if you're 22, 25 years old, you can see somebody who has a $2 million business that's actually in your same community. So we created it so people can see what they could become. And what we do as far as a give back, one of the biggest things we do is we do a Young Entrepreneur Award that gives out over 25,000 now in prizes. When I first started, it was only 5,000, but we've grown it over the years, and it's close to 25,000 in prizes. And that goes towards everything from marketing, printing support, accounting. They'll get a lawyer to help them with the structure of their business and things like that. A lot of women that we support is not only through the Young Entrepreneur Program, but we also have a Black Restaurant Showcase, and the majority of them are women-owned restaurants. So we have about 15 restaurants that we showcase, and about 10 every year are women-owned businesses, and my entire event team is women-owned. So it's a very much a girl-powered event. And we just do it again as an example. I like to be an example of, again, what you can become. How do you go against the odds? Print is a male-dominated industry. It's not a lot of women that are in that print space that own and run their own company. So the entire purpose of the event is to showcase that. And I went on from that. I think we've had 4 young women who were winners from the Young Entrepreneur. I still mentor them to this day. So when we started the program, yes, this was exposure. We wanted to give them a prize, but that mentorship continues beyond just that program. So I'm there with them as they're making some of these decisions and how do they grow their business, or like you said, the challenges, the discrimination they face, the doubt that they face. So that is like essentially something that's become part of our mission and tied very much to what WDB does is create an event that not only exposes people to what excellence can look like, exposes people to possibilities, but directly shows women at the forefront, leading this event, leading this mission, and giving back to the community.
The fact that you have built in, it's not here's a check for 5,000 or 10,000 or 25,000 and good luck, and and they're like, okay, but I still don't know how to start a business. The fact that the prizes are comprised of the time for the lawyer, the time for the accountant, somebody to help you even open up an LLC or a corporation if you need that, to have printed materials created for you for whatever you might need, and just the mentorship that goes through it is incredible to watch the success that your entrepreneurs have had. But I also must say the recognition that your event now has. A few years ago, the mayor of Chicago showed up at your event to support it, and if I am correct, is it Discover or MasterCard?
Yep, Discover and Blue Cross Blue Shield are both sponsors.
Discover and Blue Cross Blue Shield. How many people would like to be sponsored by Discover or Blue Shield besides me? Anybody? Discover?
Yes.
Come on over. I mean, that must have been, Keeana, an incredible validation of everything you were doing, to have those giant corporations come and say, how can we help?
It was not easy. As I mentioned, the prize started out that very first year. We funded everything ourselves. So I think what we were able to do with Legacy is a testament to sometimes you got to bootstrap and you have to do it yourself. And then people adapt as they see it and they come on. So sometimes we have to be that trailblazer. And as women, we know that. We mentioned that people will doubt us and they may, try to minimize our contributions. And sometimes you just have to jump out there and be confident and lead with it. And because we began to get that support and so many people were coming to the event, that's how those relationships kind of built upon. So we had to build our base of supporters and attendees up, and then the corporation started paying attention. So I'll always be honest with that. Now, Discover did become a client. But again, it was an example of, and I always tell people this, we lead with not always being of value. So not just doing the work, but how do we lead? So this event was more than just about my company. It was about exposing others. So when you do things that really shine a light on others, it's like that light is going to shine back on you. So it was because we were showing, and I remember one of my very first media TV interviews I did, and I was like, yeah, we have about 700 Black-owned businesses come out of the news. And it was like, there's 700 Black in Chicago. So the fact that people didn't even know that these minority-owned businesses existed, these women-owned businesses existed, these young entrepreneurs are actually out there. Like, that's what the event did. But we did have to build a demand. So I'll share that with anybody. As you're bringing it up, you may have to, that first year, that second year, you might have to bootstrap it. Corporations weren't knocking down my door. Those very first, they didn't even understand the concept. They didn't. They're like, well, why are you celebrating this subset? And is this a big deal? Now you look post George Floyd, post some of the things that have happened, and people understand it. So as a woman, we know we got to take on multiple roles. We sometimes have to be that trailblazer. We got to sound the horn when nobody else is sounding it. And it will pay off. But like I said, sometimes it definitely does take work. But now we have the partners now, and it's easier once you start building that momentum for other people to come. So once you get a few people who really support, it creates, and you hate to be like that, but it creates validation. I'm sure these ladies 100%. Can speak to that as well. It creates validation, and now other companies want to be a part of it.
Of course. I mean, that is literally my strategy of how I get support for I need to get one, and then I need to get the one that the other one doesn't like or is afraid of. And then the other one's like, oh, well, they can't just be there and I'm not there. So sometimes I'm very strategic about the first logo I put up on a website. But one day I will have the Discover logo up on my website if I'm going to be aspirational to be like you, Keeana.
You need that right piece of cheese, right, Deborah?
I need something to get that going. I want to be mindful of the time, so I'm just going to skip around a bit, and I'm just going to end with this question for everybody, that mentorship is one of the cornerstones of Girls Who Print. And I want to know how women mentors have helped you along the way, how you found them, and can you share some advice that has helped, that they have given you, that has helped you get to where you are today? Christine, you happen to be on screen, so we'll go with you first.
So when I started 18 years ago at Pine as the director of programs, I immediately leaned in on the other my counterparts across the country nationally, and just started our own little peer group, if you will. It was a call, and there's maybe one or two of them here on the call today, on the program today. And we are still friends, and some have left the industry and we're still friends sharing information. But finding those like-minded individuals and then just sharing and having that confidence and that sounding board, because there's no judgment, right? There sometimes you feel like there's judgment when you're in a different setting. And then I try to be positive and move that forward with other people, try to share that with my staff. Or if I meet, we do our Women in Print luncheon and other events, and I'm always levitating towards the females in the room to encourage, hey, I'm just a phone call away, I'm a text away, connect on LinkedIn. I want to be there if you have a question. Sometimes it's hard to take something internally when the culture at the top is not necessarily open to listening. So I try to share that with the members, so that I can be there for them. And even the kids, the girls in the vocational school. I actually had one come in this summer, and she wanted to know all about what would be exciting in the industry, what kind of job, what do you think I'm qualified to do? She brought in a practice resume. We did a little mock interview together, and now she's going from her vocational program. She has a co-op, and she loves it, and she's going to come into the industry, proudly. So I'd love to do more of that, and encourage more. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, as the 2024 Girly Award winner, we're going to put you to work helping with our mentorship, grow our mentorship program. Thank you so much for joining the panel today. Keeana, let's go with you. Mentorship. How have women mentors helped you along the way? How did you find them? And some advice they shared that has helped you get to where you are today.
So I was thinking about that. I haven't had a ton of mentors along the way, but one woman who stood out is I attended Northwestern in 2000 to 2004, and they had a mentoring program for minority students. And the woman that they connected me with, she was a financial advisor for Morgan Stanley. And so I'm coming from a completely different community. So I'm at Northwestern with all of these, every student, their parents are like astronauts and all of this stuff, and I'm coming from a working class family. So it was a lot. And so having somebody that looked like me, that was a woman, that was in this professional space. I still remember I'm in Chicago, and she took me to her loft downtown. And she had this beautiful, like 4-story apartment. And she took me to my first African restaurant. So I don't remember a lot of the words that she said, but just the exposure that she gave me, the fact that this was possible. And because I was like a fish out of water at Northwestern, I'm around all of these kids that parents had money. I could see somebody that looked like me that was successful in this space. So she just provided that to me, that exposure to culture. And we would meet, I think like we met probably quarterly from like my freshman year to like my junior year. I always remember her. I passed by where her apartment is at to this day, and I still remember her. So she just, I think, gave me an example of what was possible. And it was also the way that just the way that her composure. She was very professional. She was very confident. She was the first person told me, always speak up. So if it's something that you want, because I'm 18, 19 years old at the time, so I was a bit pensive. So she always left a mark on me. And then now somebody who I just recently honored that I got a chance to encounter, whose name is Dee Robinson. So she's a Black woman, one of the only women in the airport concession space. So she actually, I don't know how many people are familiar with Hudson News. So she has a minority ownership.
Everybody who's been to an airport.
Yes. So she is a owner. And I was so excited. I've been to your store so many times. And she also owns about 9 restaurants. So between O'Hare, Midway, she's very much in that hospitality space. So to see somebody like really trailblazing in that space. So she's my newest mentor. I handpicked her. I asked her to be my mentor. Somebody connected me with her as a possible honoree for our legacy awards. And then when I heard her story, I was just amazed at what she's been able to do. But I think the biggest thing for me is the giving back. So no matter who you're mentoring, it's also about how do you continue to pass the baton. So when I talked about my legacy awards and my young entrepreneurs, which are my babies, one of the things that I'm most proud of is the past winners are involved. They come back. They help select the next young entrepreneurs. They now run the contest. And a lot of their spirit and energy now is understanding that their role is to not only be successful, but to continuously give back. So that's what my mentor showed me. And that's what I want my legacy to be. Not only who I've helped, but the people who I've helped, what are they going to do? Because that's the only thing that continues to live beyond our lives. We all only got so much time on this earth. But if you can impact somebody, not for them just to be successful, but leave it in them where they're like, now who can I go and help? Who can I instill this in? That's how the positive things in this crazy world. We're going to talk about the election, Deborah. We're going to talk about that separately. In this world, that's how we continue to live, to move that good spirit along. So that's what my women mentors taught me, that they, no matter how busy they were, no matter how successful they were stopping their time to give back to somebody else. And that's our job, is to continuously, move it forward.
Every once in a while, somebody comes up to me and says, visibility. What is visibility? If I want to be something, I could be something. I don't have to see somebody like me doing it or possibilities. And I'm like, well, maybe that's because your perception is that you can do whatever the hell you want because no one's ever told you no. No one's never not opened a door for you. No one's ever said, we had a session this morning, you're too enthusiastic. I don't like your face. You should smile more. It'll be more welcoming, So I love the story that you just told because it is totally about visibility. You weren't going to be a financial advisor for Morgan Stanley, but what you saw was that it was achievable. Yes. And that freaking matters. Mm-hmm. So I'm translating this to, this is why women need to get on stages. This is why they need to be keynote speakers, not just during the women's panel at 4:00 in the freaking breakfast morning at events. They have to get themselves in magazines, and they have to get themselves visibility because it matters to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, Keeana. Tonya Powers, last but not least, how have women mentors helped you along the way? How did you find them? And any advice that was shared with you that has helped you got here where you are today?
I guess I've just felt like I've been blessed with women, even though we were in a male-dominated industry. I've had some very strong female leaders, whether I was at HP or Canon or out in the industry. I've, just been out at industry shows and started engaging in, the conferences or other professional organizations like Girls Who Print, or get involved in advisory councils, and just started making those connections over time, and realized many of these women are very actively involved because they're one of those ones that believe in giving back. So they're actively involved in trying to give back and making these connections, especially with women, and mentoring, whether they know it or not. And I've just been wowed by so many of them. A lot of them have been customers of mine. They're business owners, they're family generational businesses that they are running, and they're willing to give their time to meet with me, whether after a conference ends, or I may be in town and they'll bring me to a dinner and we'll sit down and talk about things like kind of the things that they've had to forge through and share their stories and what, how it's changed over time with what they've had to do and things that they've learned from women before them, because they also believe in that paying it forward. So they're really looking to, and I felt like I've been taken under several women's wings to help guide me, give me good feedback, input, to help me navigate, all the challenges that we do have, and figure out what's my authentic self, and how am I going to stand out and be the leader that I want to be, and make the mark that I want to mark in this industry and for my team. So I just feel really lucky. One of my managers early in, Stacy West, she's not in the industry anymore, but she really always stood out to me because we put a lot of pressure. I think I don't know if I'm sure it's not just a female thing, but I know a lot of females that put a lot of pressure on yourself. And she'd always be like, let's just take it easy. Like, let's just balance it, like prioritize. We're not curing cancer. Okay. We're trying to develop a marketing plan or a trade show experience. Like, let's just sit down and break it down. We'll figure it out. And she'd remind me just to, put that reality check and find some balance in my life and not take myself overly seriously. And also over that time, she kind of helped me learn to not apologize, because I find I'd apologize a lot too. And I don't know why I would say sorry all the time, but she was just like, there's no need to apologize for you. You're just, I guess, being present. I don't know why. Or, my ideas, I'd go, oh, sorry, I have an idea. And it's like why those words are unnecessary. So that was definitely one that stood out for me. And I did make sure, I noticed as I was bringing younger women on my team, they would say sorry a lot too. And I was like, I finally was like, oh my God, I didn't realize how much I said it until I'm hearing other generations also saying it a lot. And it's like, why do we say sorry so much? And it's like, I was like, just be mindful. I mean, there's a time for it, but don't put that in there
The
when
time
it's
for
not
it is if
necessary.
you did something wrong, not if you
Yeah,
need
literally.
something to do your job. And Kelly Malazzi and I have this conversation all the time. Like, no, what are you sorry for? You're sorry because you need a response to an email. Sorry to bother you again because you're not answering me, So I agree with you. I also want to say
I
this.
have to pause and like rewrite an opening of an email. I'm like, what? Why? I did it again. And I'm like, delete.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Just, I need to know this, following
Yeah.
up.
And someone else told me recently, or I read it somewhere, that everything that comes after but is basically bullshit in a sentence. So, like, go back and rewrite it and keep the but out of there, the comma, but, and just say what you mean and don't try to, get around things. I do want to give an additional shout out, though, to Canon Solutions America. You work for a giant global corporation, and there are, just by virtue of numbers, there are men in significant roles in your company. And one of them happens to be Frances McMahon, who I have to say is the second reason. You're the first, but the second reason why I hang out with Canon Solutions America. And there are definitely, Catherine, if you just turn your camera off for a sec, there are definitely, leaders out there who lead and they do things because it's the thing to do today. It's a thing to do. This is what people are looking for us to say. And, just as an example, you see a lot of printing companies talking about sustainability, and that they have nothing, they're not really doing anything other than using recycled paper, but it's a thing to say. Frances McMahon moves me every single time he gets up to speak at the Think conference and talk about the future of the industry and the culture at Canon in a way that I could only say is really not focused on Canon at all, but is focused on the success of his team and the success of your customers. This can sound like a little kiss-assy, but it's not, because it is so rare to find somebody who actually believes this. Can you just speak a little bit about Francis and his commitment to company culture and causes out in the world that help humans?
Yes. I mean, he's actually written several speeches around it because he's very passionate and has offered numerous times to go and present the importance of building the right culture and the impact it has on the success of your business, and primarily, you know, the success of your customers. He truly does believe it. Like, he will dream about this, and you know, next day in the office, he's sharing his, like, I had this dream, this thought, like, you know, about this, but he's living and breathing it every day in our organization about, you know, understanding what a true leader is, what it means, having that trust in his team and building people up. I'm a prime example. He's like, he recognized some talent in me somehow in my very quiet phase.
No, you're not allowed to say
I
that.
was very quiet. He couldn't get me to talk, but he realized after he started getting me talking, he's like, this one has something. So he saw something, and he nudged me. He got me out of my comfort zone. I was very young back in early days, and was like, you have talent, and you're going to be uncomfortable sometimes, but I have faith you're going to do this. And it, you know, it wasn't just me. He's got a slew of women and men that he has helped bring up in the organization because he saw the talent in them and pushed them out of their comfort zones a bit. And he's leveraged his platforms to help give us voices, whether men or women. He's like, this person needs to be heard. I'm going to promote them. I'm going to put them out there and just put that support out there. And so much, like, in his belief in this culture and building a community, and that community means, you know, we're all in this together. We're taking care of our customers. It's absolutely number one importance. We've got to make sure we're taking care of them, keeping them healthy. That's only going to be good for us in the long run if we're taking care of them and doing the right things for the right reasons. Sometimes he says it might mean breaking a little rule, but it's for the right reason. So he's not afraid to do things like that. But it's always, at the end of the day, he's putting his focus on his customers, his employees, and creating that type of community and organization that you want to be a part of and help move forward.
And last thing I want to say is during the pandemic, Canon Solutions America did a pretty incredible thing in which to say it in a very high level, Canon, with their own money, purchased a ton of supplies before the supply chain was decimated on their own expense without them going anywhere to anybody. And when their customers needed supplies, Canon Solution America was hoarding them, whether it was ink or toner or whatever else was going on there that people needed. And yeah, it was a loss for your company for a bit. But Francis didn't care. He was like,
the customer.
Our customers cannot go down because a ship or a truck can't reach them. So for all those reasons, a shout out to Francis McMahon, and thank you so much. Thank you, Keeana. Thank you, Christine.